Good morning. I'd like to call the January 24th Finance Committee meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Cahill, Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, here, Member Galassi, Member Garcia, here, Member Guston, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozog, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatore, Member Yu,
Here.
and Member Zay.
Here.
Great, we have a quorum. So under Chairwoman's remarks, I just have a few comments that I'd like to make. First, I'd like to address some of the questions regarding Sheriff Mendrick and financial actions the board can or cannot take. So the county board cannot defund the sheriff's office. The 2023 budget was approved and we cannot pull back funding, nor do I believe, even if we could, the board would not support such an action. The sheriff's office does important work. Public safety is a top priority of this board. We have always supported and will continue to support the work the sheriff's office does. Another question was, can we stop the sheriff's paycheck? On April 26, 2022, the board adopted Finance Ordinance FIO 002522, determining the compensation of various DuPage County elected officials. Article 7, Section 4 of the Illinois Constitution defines the sheriff, county clerk, and the treasurer as county officers. And Division 4 through 6 of the county codes authorizes the county board to determine the compensation of county officers. Per the Illinois Constitution and the county code, we have a statutory duty to set the salaries of the countywide elected officials and to pay them. We cannot rescind that ordinance, or we cannot refuse. We have to pay the sheriff. The 2023, the sheriff has also publicized that he is short-staffed. He's down 18 deputies per shift from 11 per shift. I want to make it clear that the sheriff's staffing issues have nothing to do with the county board not providing the necessary funds for him to hire staff. The 2023 sheriff's budget includes the head count of 507, up from the 22 budget, which included head count of 502. It's my understanding that the sheriff's current head count is around 467. So with that, I'm going to go on to our next thing I want to address a little bit. It's under discussion, we have the precinct maps. So for the new members, I want to just explain a little bit. In November of 2022, the 102nd General Assembly passed the omnibus election bill, which directed election authorities to draw new precincts. The county board in each county, except in counties having a population of 3 million inhabitants or more, shall at its regular meeting in June or the adjourned meeting in July divide its election precincts, which contain more than 800 voters, into election districts so that each precinct shall contain as near as may be practical to 1,200 registered voters. The DuPage County Clerk's Office brought forward a new precinct map in 2022, which adhered to the intent of the law, but unfortunately the board didn't adopt that map. We'll be discussing the options the board can take regarding this matter later in the meeting, and we have State's Attorney Bob Berlin here to help us through that process. So with that, can I have a motion on, oh yes, and there's no public comment today. So with that, can I have a motion on Finance Committee regular meeting minutes from Tuesday, January 10th? I have a motion by Member Tornatore, second by Member Yu. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We move on to budget transfers. Can I have a motion on FIR 005023, resolution budget transfers 12423 from various companies and accounting units? The motion by Member Garcia. A motion by Member Cahill, second by Member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Oh, okay, and I'll have to do the. Excuse me for 1 minute. I see that member Desart is online. So there's been a request to allow member Desart to participate remote pursuant to section 7A under the Open Meetings Act. If a quorum of the members of the public body is physically present as required by section 2.01, a majority of the public body may allow a member of that body to attend the meeting by other means if the member is prevented from physically attending because of personal illness or disability, employment purposes, or the business of a public body or a family or other emergency. I have a motion by member Zay. Second by member Schwarzy to allow member Desart to participate remotely. Welcome, member Desart. Thank you for notifying me. So did we have did we vote on the, okay. So I had a motion and a second on the budget transfers. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We move on to procurement requisitions, animal services, member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on ASP 0046-23, recommendation for the approval of contract with IDEX distribution for purposes of snap tests, outside laboratory consultation services.
The motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Krajewski. We move on to ETSB, member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on item ETSR 923, acceptance of the Illinois State Police State Fiscal Year 23 Next Generation 911 Expenses Grant Program in the amount of $1,521,663.78.
I have a motion by member Schwarzy, a second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Schwarzy. Well, actually, we call upon you again for human services, member Schwarzy.
Thank you very much. I move on item HSCO 723, amendment to contract 5248001 serve issued to Lind Gas and Equipment to furnish and deliver oxygen, helium, and carbon dioxide for the period of June 1st, 21 through May 31st, 23 to increase encumbrance in the amount of $4,000 to cover purchases through the end of the contract for a new purchase order, total amount not to exceed $26,332. And I will say that we needed more oxygen. That's why we're adding this $4,000 worth of oxygen.
Great. Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on item HSP 4723, a recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Family Shelter Service to provide advocacy services to victims of domestic violence. This contract covers a period of December 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 23 for community services for a contract total amount not to exceed $85,000. And I just want to clarify, we sent this out before December 1st. They did not get us the return contract for our December meeting. That's why it's being approved.
Thank you. Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Schwarzy. We move on to judicial public safety, member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on JPSP 004523, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Northeast DuPage Family and Youth Services to provide services to youths who are at risk of domestic violence and trauma for the period February 1st, 2023 through January 31st, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $36,000.
Have a motion by member Evans, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve JPS R003723, additional appropriation for the probation services fee fund in the amount of $135,000.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Evans.
Thank you. I move to approve JPS R003823, acceptance of an extension of time for the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community Oriented Policing Services Law Enforcement Mental Health and Wellness Act 2020 grant.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Evans?
Thank you. I move to approve JPSR 003923 resolution, additional appropriation for the neutral site custody exchange fund in the amount of $19,000 and $19,900.
I have a motion by member Evans, a second by member Tornatori. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Evans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For this one, I first move to discharge the Judicial and Public Safety Committee for consideration of item 7D5 JPSR 004323, a resolution for an additional appropriation for the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, Law Enforcement, Mental Health and Wellness Act 2020 grant for the total of $25,000.
I have a motion to discharge JPS committee, motion by member Evans, second by member Childress. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Evans?
Okay, I will move on JPSR 004323, a resolution for an additional appropriation for the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, Law Enforcement, Mental Health and Wellness Act 2020 grant for a total of $25,000.
Motion by a member Evans, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Evans. We move on to Public Works. Member Garcia.
Yeah, hi, I move for a motion to approve FMCO 000623 amendment to County Contract 56750001. Serve issue to Integral Construction for the window replacement project at the Care Center for Facilities Management for a change order to increase the contract in the amount of $305,514, taking the original contract amount of $657,655.25 and resulting in an amended contract total amount not to exceed $963,169.25, an increase of 46.46%.
I have a motion by member Garcia, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Garcia.
I motion for FMP 004323, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Wind-Free Wind and Solar Energy Design Company to provide and install solar panels on the roof of the JTK Administration Building for facilities management for the period January 24th, 2023 through November 30th, 2024 for a total contract amount not to exceed $429,558 per lowest responsible bid.
I have a motion by member Garcia, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? Member Garcia.
I just want to say that I am very excited for this. Thank you to the people who are giving some of the funding that I think that we're going to be receiving for this. I think a $50,000 donation for this, and then we're going to be able to do more of the north of the building. So I think we are finally seeing the solar arrays come to fruition. So I think it's about time. So.
Great, thank you. Member Rutledge.
And I'd just like to add that originally we had hoped that we might start installation next month or in March to take advantage of the summer sunshine, but supply chain has reared its ugly head and inverters are a problem. So we're looking more towards September at this point. And we'll do a big splash then when we're ready to start installation.
Great, thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia.
I motion to approve FMP 004423 recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Midwest Applied Solutions, Inc. to provide ionization 2 parts for the HVAC clean air systems at the Judicial Office Facility and Annex for facilities management for the period January 25th, 2023 through July 31st, 2023 for a total contract not to exceed $68,040.
I have a motion by member Garcia, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Garcia. We move on to technology. Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on item TEP 004823 for the recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Parasoft Technology Group for Premier Support Agreement for Microsoft Support Services for Information Technology. This contract covers the period of 1 year for a contract total of $43,362.80. And I just want to add that this is a cost saving measure of 66%, which is great job by the IT department.
Have a motion by member Yu, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Yu. We move on to transportation. Member Ozak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of DTP 003923, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Altorfer Industries to furnish and deliver one new Weiler asphalt paver to the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $226,125 per Sourcewell contract.
Have a motion by member Ozak, a second by member Childress. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 004023, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Felling Trailers Incorporated to furnish and deliver one new equipment trailer for the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $35,588.40 per Sourcewell contract.
Have a motion by member Ozak, a second by member Childress. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 004123, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Tiger Mowers LLC to furnish and deliver one new Tiger boom mower for the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $164,488.22 per Sourcewell contract.
The motion by member Ozak, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thanks. I move for approval of DTP 004223, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Civil Tech Engineering for professional appraisal and review services for the Division of Transportation, Section 23 APPRL 04LA for a contract total not to exceed $100,000. Other professional services not subject to competitive bidding. Vendor selected pursuant to DuPage County Procurement Ordinance.
Have a motion by member Ozak, second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 003523, a resolution recommendation for the approval of an agreement with B3 Wetland Restoration LLC for the purchase of wetland bank credits for the replacement of the bridge carrying Warrenville Road over the east branch of the DuPage River in the amount of $37,440.
Have a motion by member Ozak, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak.
Thank you. And in the same vein, I move for approval of DTR 003623, a resolution recommendation for approval of an agreement with B3 Wetland Restoration LLC for the purchase of wetland bank credits for the improvement of Lamont Road from 87th Street to 83rd Street in the amount of $4,238.
Have a motion by member Ozak, a second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Ozak.
Thank you.
We move on to finance resolutions. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0045-23, resolution for additional appropriation for the county clerk GIS, $5,334.
Have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Tornatori. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0046-23, resolution approval of an amendment to resolution FIR 0283-22 for the amended grant agreement with the FMC natatorium for the use of ARPA funds.
Have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0052-23, resolution authorizing transfer of $415,519 in budget to the county clerk elections for fiscal year 2022.
Have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Tornatori, and I see member Zay wants to be recognized. Go ahead, member Zay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We have an explanation on this. I mean, it really doesn't give us much detail what this is for. This is coming out of our general fund going to the clerk's office for almost $500,000. So We have any?
We have Adam Johnson up here.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. So I would defer to finance on a question on how they broke down the different budgetary transfers, because we do have a bunch of internal transfers that were on the agenda today. Moving access funds from certain line items to balance out deficiencies. And I see in the resolution, the additional appropriation is partially going to the statutory and fiscal charges line and partially going to software maintenance. But essentially the monetary deficit is in the software, in the statutory and fiscal charges line item, which is election judge pay. So the amount that was requested in the budget for election judge pay last summer was just over $3 million. The amount that was appropriated was 1.9 million, and the actual cost of election judge pay ended up being 2.3 and change. And so that created the deficit that's being moved from contingencies to cover the election judge actual costs.
Okay, my only question, Adam, is that you didn't come to this board and ask for additional money for judges at the time. You guys went ahead and raised the fee, which we all know needed to be done. But you also stood here and gave raises to your staff, and you had said, we can give raises to our staff and there's nothing the county board can do to stop it because we have money in our budget. Now you're coming to us after the fact and saying, we don't have money in our budget, that, we need this additional money now to pay the judges. I just wish that there would be more cooperation with the clerk's office, that we could work together, because at that time, we all knew our judges were underpaid, that we would give you that money up front, and there probably wouldn't have been a need to come back for a budget transfer in January and talk about raises for your staff and everything else. I just wish there'd be more cooperation. So,
That's a wish that our office shares as well. And I'd be happy to talk with you about how that relationship might be improved moving forward. It was not a great past year on multiple fronts, as I think everyone in this room is aware.
So you need all this money is for election judges.
Essentially, again, it's the dollar amount basically matches up. Finance had some money transferred internally from different line items in our budget where there were surpluses, including the regular salaries, where there was significant surplus in the clerk's budget.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Zay. Member Krajewski?
Yeah, thank you, Richard. I'm assuming we paid the election judges.
Yes,
did.
the election judges have been paid.
Yes.
Yes.
This is kind of after the fact that we paid them, so where'd the money come from?
We have Jeff Martinowitz coming up from finance.
At the reserve of the general fund.
And we can just do that without us authorizing?
At this point, that's really our only option.
We already paid them. I don't know why we're here, but I'm not sure how you can pay them without us approving it. But
Well, our financial statements in the election division will show a deficit within that division.
I'm aware of that, and usually I think the board has to authorize something before it's paid. Okay, thank you.
Auditor Bill White, the auditor, you have some comments that you'd like to, and Jennifer Sin.
Maybe to get more to the specific question that was asked, the judge's pay was processed through HR, through payroll. Okay, my office did not see that until after the checks were sent out. And there's a line item in the budget that shows a negative amount that needs to be, the budget, moving the money from contingency will bring the negative amount back to zero.
A lot of checks that go through your office that you guys don't see them.
Payroll. We don't see payroll.
So you don't see the payroll.
We don't see the payroll. And that was something that even my predecessor raised issues about, but was never resolved.
Thank you, Member Krajewski. Member Zay.
Thank you. Just a follow-up. Nick, let's bring the whole gang up. Wasn't there originally in the budget last year contingency money for judges' pay that we had put in there originally?
Well,
That the clerk really never asked for, just said, did it on her own? That's what I'm saying, is that I think in the budget, this county board actually saw that and had money in contingency that we could have transferred before the election and done all this, and not after the fact.
so during the approval and the discussion of the 2022 budget, when we met with the clerk's office, we were given a number of 2,880 judges at $250 per hour. We amortized that out. We came up with a figure of 1.981 million. The total judge pay that we calculated was 1.4 million. So, we thought a good number in the budget was the $1.981 million. So we did have some background to budget for. But it's based on 2,880 judges at $250 per hour. We did know the $250 per hour was going to be coming during the fiscal year. And we budget
Per day, right?
per day, yeah.
Because
per
I'm
day,
gonna
excuse
become a judge now.
me. Right.
Okay, I'm just saying, I mean, there's ways we can do this, and after the fact, it always looks kind of strange when we're doing after the fact. Now people have gotten checks. I wish we could work together more and avoid this kind of last minute kind of shifting of money.
I think that's going to be going forward. I think we're going to be working much closer with the clerk's office. So
Thank you.
thank you. Member LaPlante?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I would just like to say, of course, our election judges are worth even more than this. So of course, that's the highest priority, to pay our election judges. They do heroes work, truly. However, I love the saying, when you want to change course and want to change certain behaviors or old patterns, begin as you mean to go on. And this right here is not a great example of that. In terms of what you just mentioned as not a great past year and between the clerk's office and this board, I think we could do a better job going forward for sure, to zoom out a little bit. And I think this would have been a great opportunity to bring this to us sooner. Also, I would love to hear from our clerk. You're doing a fantastic job as a member of staff, but she's our elected official. And that's who we we're all held responsible. And I would love to hear from our elected official, our clerk. Is that possible?
Clerk is not in attendance at the meeting today.
Is there anything else we can say about that? Will she be coming to meetings, or will we have more communications? I'm unaware of what's going on, and I'm an elected official on this board.
I am not, I do not feel comfortable commenting on that right now.
Okay.
It's not my place to divulge information and speak for the clerk. So.
Okay. I totally appreciate that, and I agree. I understand maybe something is of a sensitive nature, but maybe, don't you think that we as board members, isn't this something that we can talk about, or no? Even if it's privately, I just am unclear on how this is working, how we're going to go forward and improve our relationships if there's not a breakdown right here in communication.
Well, I think.
Or knowledge or information.
Well, I think right now, I met with Nick and Finance, Chair Conroy on Friday. We had a great discussion. We are committed to working with the clerk's office going forward in a positive manner. We want to forget the past and move forward, with a clean slate. So I think that's what we're committed to do. Whether the clerk is here or not, I know that's a commitment from our staff. And I believe that the clerk's office, is in agreement with us that, this is a new slate, new year, and we're going to work together.
Okay, I'm very happy to hear that. I'm very happy to hear that discussion took place. And I think just as board members, that would be great if we could also be looped in, if maybe not into that inner sanctum, but enough information that I can know what's going on as an elected board member. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. And Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0051-23, resolution authorization transfer 58,115 budgets to the county coroner for 2022.
I have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Childress. Any discussion on this? Member Krajewski.
It's just another one that they went negative.
Could somebody from finance come up? The same question. Is this another one that just went negative?
Jason nodding.
that's something that's totally out of his control, the coroner's office. The number of deaths in the county went up.
Yeah, wouldn't they normally come to you during the year and say, we want to increase that line item? It just seemed as after the fact how they're spending stuff without approval. And I know we gotta fund it, but I would think they would come and say, looks like 6, 8, 10 months into the process, we're exceeding our number, we're gonna need to request it. I would just, in all cases, ask these elected officials to come to us during the year, if something like that happens, versus after we have an approval.
That's a good suggestion, Member Krajewski. Member Ozak?
I agree with Member Krajewski. It seems not a really difficult issue on a monthly basis or even quarterly basis to come to us when things are going south. So that would be really appreciated.
Yeah, I think in this instance, because it's a low dollar amount that went over, we didn't catch it till the end of not catch it, but it didn't appear till the end of the fiscal year.
So some of this is year-end fiscal cleanup. Is that a
it-
fair thing to say?
Charges that happen in period 12 or the
Oh,
last
okay.
month of our fiscal year, that does happen
Okay.
somewhat frequently in line items especially.
And they could even be from November into December. et cetera.
Absolutely. Yeah, the carryovers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Member Krajewski?
I mean, well, first, I wouldn't think, it's not your job to catch it. I mean, I'm thinking these elected officials need to be monitoring their budgets as it comes forward. And we have similar issue in animal services where we have vets that use pet population fund and we have no idea which vets are gonna do it. And as it gets through the year, we see that one is capped at $5,000 and they've already get close to that. We then come and actually have a motion to extend it to a higher dollar amount. Just because we have to do it, like we have deaths, we have to do coroner work, but it'd be nice to come and say,
Yeah.
we need.
Our budget team frequently reaches out to departments to calculate the budget transfers so the line items don't go over budget. But again, in this case, so we work closely with those departments and making sure those line items are shored up during the year, as you can see by the volume of budget transfers.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. We move on to informational. Member Krajewski?
Being Madam Chair, I move to receive and place on file informational items, A, payment of claims, B, wire transfers, and C, appointment.
Okay, I have a motion from Member Krajewski and a second by Member Garcia to receive and place on file items A, B, and C under informational. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. And now we move on to item 10, our precinct map discussion. So we have State's Attorney Berlin. So welcome. Morning.
Good morning. So let me just kind of recap where we stand with the law and kind of go through what when I last appeared before the board in April of 2022. Public Act 668 was passed. It became effective November 15th, 2021. And the law stated that in counties less than 3 million, which is every county in the state other than Cook, that the county board shall at its regular meeting in June or an adjourned meeting in July, divide its election precincts so that each precinct shall contain as near as may be practicable 1,200 registered voters. This was a change from the law, which previously had been 500 and not more than 800 registered voters. The law then stated that insofar as is practicable, each precinct shall be situated within a single congressional, legislative, and representative district and in not more than one county board district and one municipal ward. The law then stated that in order to situate each precinct within a single district or ward, the county board shall change the boundaries of election precincts after each decennial census as soon as practicable following the completion of congressional and legislative redistricting, except that in 2021, the county board shall change the boundaries at a regular or special meeting within 60 days after the effective date of this amendatory act. 60 days from the date that that act became effective was January 14th, 2022. County Board met on December 14th, 2021 to discuss precinct maps. And then again, there was a special call meeting on January 14th, 2022. And for those board members who were on the board at the time, if you recall, there was a rather extensive discussion of these maps, and ultimately they did not pass. It was our position then, and it remains our position now, that the board was still in compliance with the law because the law provides, and Public Act 668 did not change the provision that states if for any reason the county board fails in any year to redivide or readjust the election districts or election precinct, then the districts or precincts as then existing shall continue until the next regular June meeting of the county board. So that was our position, is that the precinct maps that were in existence since 2017 would remain in existence. Then it was revisited in June of 2022, and it was our position because the primary in 2022 had been moved from March until June, that to pass new maps in the middle of an election season would create a number of significant problems, including the fact that early voting had already started in May, and that there were actually precinct committeemen who were on the ballot. People would have voted for some of these precinct committeemen, and then to change the maps after the fact could create huge legal issues. And it was our advice that the board hold off, at least have a discussion, but put this off until June of 2023. It's our position that the board can comply with this law by passing these maps in June of 2023. They would then be effective for the 2024 election. So however the board wants to accomplish that, that's obviously up to the board. The law does state that this is something that the county board has to do. However, it is the clerk's office that has all the data, that would provide the data so that the maps could be drawn. The board could have a discussion and vote on them. So that's where we stand right now. Again, we have been and remain in compliance with the law. But if the board does not pass these maps this June, we run the risk that some of these precincts will have more than 1,200 voters, and then could become out of compliance and potentially could result in a lawsuit.
Thank you very much. I have member Zay, member Ozog, member Krajewski, member Childress.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Bob, for that update. I mean, I think we have to talk to Chair Conroy and form a special committee to get these things done, possibly hire a consultant to work in conjunction with the clerk's office like we did with the county board districts. Obviously, like you said, the county board's never done this before. It's always been the clerk's office that did it. I think that was part of the confusion the last time, and with the remap taking so long and with the election being changed, I think there was a lot of issues there, but I think we need to get this done before June and figure out a way to do it and make sure we get everybody's input.
Thank you, member Zay. Member Ozog.
Thank you, State's Attorney Berlin. I'm not quite clear about the last sentence. You said we could be out of compliance by having precincts with more than 1,200 or less than 800, which exact.
It would be.
Is it,
well,
is that a hard number, the 1,200?
It's supposed to be 1,200 as near as practicable.
Okay,
So since these precincts were last divided, there's certainly a chance people move in, people move out,
okay,
that those numbers may have changed.
okay.
So
So would that be the only way to be out of compliance with the numbers, or is there some other, how many Junes do we get to fulfill the 2021 statute?
Well, the
Or-
statute says, again, if for any reason the board doesn't
Do it.
pass the maps, you can do it the following June.
Okay, so it's a
The
little
sti-
nebulous as to how,
It is
Right.
nebulous, however, each year that you don't pass a map and it goes to the next June, we run the risk that these the number of registered voters in given precincts are going to change significantly.
okay.
And that's
and
the fear.
What would be, is there some kind of sanction involved or what exactly is the punishment for this situation?
The county could be sued.
Yeah.
The county could be sued for violation of
Elections.
of basically the rights of voters.
Okay, by not complying with the
Under
2021
the election
statute.
code, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, member Ozad. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Member Zay, and I think you mentioned we have to pass the maps. I don't think we have to pass the maps that were given to us. We have to pass a map, precinct maps by June for the following cycle. So I agree, we should probably put a committee together and do that. It is our responsibility. We just heard the clerk say they're gonna cooperate or try to cooperate. So I assume we won't have the problem getting the data from the clerk's office, and we should put the maps together. And quite frankly, because this is a little bit old, there could have been major development in precincts and stuff that could make those actually out of compliance now anyways. There could be one that has 2 or 3, we don't know. So we have to look at that. But again, I think we should put a committee together, similar to the maps committee that's been done in the past, each 10 years for the county board districts, and then put these maps together. We got now till June to get it passed. Thanks.
Thank you, member Krajewski.
Yeah.
Member Childress? Oh,
I was
Oh,
just going
I'm
to
sorry.
add, I think that was the reason for our advice that we should hold off till June of 23, because we will have more recent data.
yeah, thank you. Member Childress?
Yes, I have 2 questions, actually. Is the deadline June 30? You
It's-
said June.
It's at the meeting of the county board in June, the regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay,
I don't have the calendar in front of me of when that meeting is.
okay. And I actually concur with Member Krajewski and Member Zay, because I can remember before I became on the board, there was this big hubbub about precinct maps. It was this huge thing. And I would like to begin as soon as physically possible so that things could be modified. And we can work directly with our PCs and elected officials to get this thing done in the proper time and not at the last minute and have all this confusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Ozak?
I was on the committee for the district maps, and I think the idea of a board clerk and consultant triumvirate would be a really good idea. So I hope we can get that moving as quickly as possible.
Yes, thank you. Member Childress, go ahead, please.
And I actually forgot one other thing. Thank you, Attorney Berlin, for clarifying it is the board's responsibility to draw these maps, correct?
Correct,
It is not the clerk's responsibility to draw these maps, correct?
correct.
It is our position that we need to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, member Childress. So that's what we need to decide here today. If we want to hire consultants and form a committee, or if we want the clerk to draw the maps like they did last time and bring them forward. I do know that the map that the clerk provided last year was in compliance with the law. They were 1,200. They were near, some were 1,200, some were as near to 1,200 as they could get. Unfortunately, a lot of people that came and spoke before us, and usually we have a very good electorate that come and are very well versed on this situation, but we really can't reach out to every precinct committeeman because there are, how many precinct committeemen? About 600, right? So we go to the clerk's office, went to the county party chairs, I believe, and shared the map with the chairs of the party. And that's how they did it. Because if we, too many cooks in the kitchen spoil the recipe. So, we don't want to bring in too many outside entities. If the committee wants to hire a consultant and form a committee, we can definitely do that. Or if we want to leave it to the clerk to bring those forward, they have them done. They might need a little tweaking. And then we can display them publicly for a month or two in our auditorium. We put them online. So that would just be, up to our committee. Member Krajewski and then member Ozak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I would talk to Chairwoman Conroy and see if she wants to appoint a special committee. If she doesn't, then you do it under finance. But again, I think we just appoint the committee, have a maps committee, one from each district, 6 people. And, the clerk can join us, provide us the data. We can have people show up at public comment if people want to come in and argue about lines or something, but and then just get it done. So either Chairwoman Conroy will create a committee ad hoc or create it under finance with one board member on it. But again, it's our responsibility. So they can provide us what they gave us. We can look at it, we can agree, or we can have a consultant, make some changes and we can make changes.
Okay, thank you, member Krajewski. Member Ozak.
I would really like to see a consultant because I think regarding a lot of the controversy over what happened last year, some of it was definitely time driven and we did not have enough time to meet that January deadline. But also I think it would be a good buffer. So really favor a consultant being hired.
Okay, is that the majority of the board? We'll ask Chair Conroy. Member, you go ahead.
Actually, I have a question with
Yeah,
regard
go
to,
ahead.
thank you. So how much would the consultant be? And
We'd have to go
would there be a
out for
bid
a
that would go out? Yeah.
proposal. Yeah, so we don't know how much it would be.
Yeah, under 50,000, more than likely. But just throwing that out there, not.
Yes, so is the direction from the board to discuss with Chair Conroy how she would like to move forward, whether creating a special committee or doing a committee, we could discuss this in finance as a committee of the whole, something like that. But we'll discuss with Chair Conroy to see which direction she wants to go in. Is that the consensus of the board? Okay, great. All right. Thank you, Mr. Berlin. Appreciate it. Do we have any old business? Do we have any new business? Member Eckhoff.
I just want to ask you, I guess, you made a comment during your chairman remarks that it wasn't our fault that the sheriff doesn't have enough personnel.
Well, right, because we're giving him the money in the budget to
Right.
hire deputies. So I just want to make that clear that we didn't short him money.
Right. Well, my comment is that as a result of a number of factors over the last several years, it's become harder and harder to hire deputy sheriffs, court security, and police officers in municipalities. And we're going to be under financial pressure to increase their wages to entice more people to take the job. So that's something that I guess we need to look forward to. I think that's also true in our state's attorney's office and the public defender's office. So there's going to be increasing financial pressure on our budget. And if we don't respond to that in some way, then it will be our fault that we are not able to fully staff the sheriff's office and state's attorney's office and public defender's office.
Right, right. And I believe we also put in, did we put in money for bonuses for the sheriff as well, correct? We allowed for sign-on bonuses? Yes. Yes. So we're doing everything we can to assist the sheriff to increase his staff.
And I can't remember what municipality, but I thought I heard somewhere that somebody increased their starting base salary by 30,000.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of them are. And you're right. And
cost
policemen, and we
money.
even heard firemen are hard to hire.
But
So,
Mr. Schwartz is in charge of that.
so it is a product of our environment, but I just wanted to let everybody, to let the public know that we're doing all that we can to assist the sheriff and give him the funding that he needs to hire his deputies. Member Krajewski.
Thank you. And Member Eckhoff mentioned also state's attorney, public defender, and I know we got Bob Erkin sitting over there, but you're having that problem, aren't you, Bob, with regards to trying to find attorneys, right? How many openings do you have? Or anything we can do as a board to give you more schools?
You could hire Mr. Krajewski.
But yeah, I mean, but it's all throughout. I mean, it's public defender also, and it's the sheriff trying to find, I mean, we need to get the public safety. We gotta have the people. So, I mean, I don't know what.
I'll just say this, the big law firms in Chicago are now starting at 215,000 a year. And we're at 65. So yeah, there's something you could do, but that would really throw things out of whack. Right. We have recruiting teams now going out to the law schools to try and attract some of the students coming right out of school. We're taking proactive measures to try and get people interested. But I can tell you what we're experiencing is true prosecutors' offices, not only in this area, but really around the country.
Sure. Well, the good thing is we have the ability to actually face people other areas or deficit issues. But again, if we are sending teams out, we need more resources for us to let us know because we need to get the spots that we
And we can, and as we talk about, the salaries are important, very important, but the county offers really great benefits as well, right? And then I don't know if somebody right out of college were to come into the state's attorney's office, because it is considered public service, could there then student loans be forgiven after a certain number of years? I mean, is that a selling point that we can, push out there?
A big one.
Yeah, there is a program, the Johnny Justice program, we call it, where people apply. And yes, we have had attorneys whose loans were reduced in some cases, forgiven. So there's an application process.
Yeah. So, I think if all of us do our part, in saying what a great place it is to work at DuPage County, and, maybe our salaries aren't, up there with the big firms, but we offer great benefits. You can have possibly loan forgiveness. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to working, and you're doing a great public service. So I don't know.
We're
We should
doing,
do a public
we are
service
out there
announcement.
doing the best we can.
That's right. Yeah.
We are still getting some qualified applicants that we've hired. They've all been outstanding. We're just not getting the numbers that we have in the past.
Yes. Thank you. Member Guston and then Member Rutledge.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. You are 100% correct. I have nothing but attorneys in my family, and I will say that salary is far below 250. Obviously, is a higher range of that, but that is poverty, really salary. We probably need to really take a good look at that, particularly with inflation, the way that it is. And there are actually companies and firms out there that allow the attorneys now to work from home. So they don't have the expense of going into the city anymore. So they're working from home full time. So I don't know if that's the flexibility you have in your office or not, and if that might generate some additional interest by those lawyers that typically don't want to have to make a commute of any sort.
Yeah. So just to address that, I mean, we do require our attorneys to come into the office. Obviously, if there's special circumstances, we make accommodations. But our attorneys typically have to be in court almost every single day. So it does require the presence. And there's a lot to be said for having all the attorneys present, because we do operate as a team where we bounce ideas off of each other and trial strategy. And it's a model that has worked extremely well over the years.
I think that is actually something very unique to what your department does, which is wonderful. And I applaud you for that, and it should be kept up in that manner to be able to generate ideas and strategies. I'm just saying that's the competition that we're working with out in that field right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we did allow for 4% raises and a 2% merit pool, which this was huge for DuPage County to give a 4% raise and a 2% merit pool. So again, we would love to pay, market rate, but again, we are using taxpayer dollars too. So it's a fine balancing act that we have to do as well. But, we are really trying to work with all of our elected officials and be cognizant of, what we're paying and the environment that people are working in. And, but we want to help them out as best that we can. So I have member Krajewski, member Rutledge, and member Childress.
Just one more, it's more regards to the sheriff, because the sheriff is trying to get more applicants in the pool to interview to hire these positions, but the sheriff did request to waive the education requirement for the jail and the road officers, and the merit commission only gave them half. So they still put they reduced it, but not all the way what the sheriff wanted, which would have just opened up more applicants to the process, and they still have to test, they still have to go through the committee to, see weed them out. But again, the sheriff, we're trying to support him, but, the merit commission didn't give him what he had requested. They only gave him partial. So again, there's other applicants out there that potentially could come in, but, again, it's a different board that kind of didn't get the sheriff what he needed to at least get the pool bigger. And I've seen, we've done that around campus too. We've been trying to expand the pool. We can interview, because there may be people that fit a specific position, but you'll know that through the interview process. And you try it.
Thank you, member Krajewski. Member Rutledge, and then member Childress.
Thank you, Chair Chapman. Can't remember if it was during a board meeting or just discussions amongst my fellow board members, but we have had a couple of talks about our budget surplus currently and what we should be doing with that. So maybe to allow us to address the shortcomings of hiring at the sheriff's office through no fault of his own. I mean, that's the market we're in right now. Maybe special call for addressing our budget surplus right now would include that conversation.
We could, but again, so that surplus does not travel year after year. So if we, keep continually raising those salaries, that surplus won't take us out quite as far. We could always increase taxes, but it is something worth having. And, maybe we do have another call, but like I said, we just did give those 4% raises with the 2% merit, which is really unheard of for this county. In fact, I know we were going to do 3.95 and then I said 4% and everybody's like, yes, we'll do 4%. But, so we could go back and revisit a conversation on salaries, but we just did our budget with that 4%. So maybe as we talk about the 2023 budget going forward, we can, see what else we can do as far as money for our employees.
Well, I do think that a lot of our surplus is coming from higher than budgeted sales tax
Yes,
amount.
that's true.
And I don't
Yes.
really see that changing.
Yes, good point. Good point.
So
Yeah,
if we cannot hire enough sheriffs to protect our community,
right.
then that absolutely is a discussion I think we should have.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, member Rutledge. Member Childress.
Did I understand Mr. Berlin to say that the salary is 65,000?
Yeah, starting salary. I know.
65,000 is our starting salary, but there are raises as you progress through the office. We have many attorneys who make a lot more than that.
But bringing them in and you're recruiting, you're talking to a person about 65,000.
Correct. And that number is actually very competitive with all of these surrounding counties.
Okay, because I worked for telecom. My previous employer was a telecom at a call center, and we had call center representatives making more than that. I just wanted to make that point to put things in perspective. If we're looking at a highly respected position that is responsible for our civil society, and we have people sitting in call centers making phone calls, making more than our attorneys, it does put things really crystal clear. Thank you.
Yes, very good points, member Childress. Thank you. Member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I hear this incredulity that their starting salary is about $65,000. I was a public interest attorney for my entire career, still am, and my starting salary was even lower than that. And I had 4 years of graduate school, and I have to say the public service loan forgiveness program is the best way to really cut down on your household expenses, obviously, and make it through those years where you decide that public interest is really your passion and what you really would like to do with your law degree. So not to toot my own horn, but I think people who work in public interest are truly special people. And I'm very, very grateful for Bob Berlin's staff. I also just want to mention that the public defenders, I don't believe the public defender's office is here, but I believe their budget is even smaller than the state's attorney's office. And so they also need a big shout out for the work that they do. But yes, I would really like to see a greater salary raise across the board for public interest attorneys, legal aid attorneys, but that is just based on the market, isn't it?
Thank you, member you. Thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion under this? Member Ozag.
Just a quick aside, I know from experience, a lot of lawyers do not start at 200,000. So, and I'm sure you're aware of that as well, but the main thing your office can offer is trial experience, which many lawyers do not get these days at all. So there's a lot of benefits. So we will talk it up whenever possible. So
Thank you.
Yes, we will talk up, what a great place it is to work.
we'll
what a-
recruit.
we'll be, yeah, like I said, we'll do a public service announcement for you, but there are, there's a lot of good benefits and, something that it's a great conversation for us to keep in the forefront and to be cognizant of and to, keep discussing. So
I've
thank
got
you.
another 10 discussion points, but I guess we're supposed to have a long day, so I'll.
Did you,
pass those later.
member Eckhoff, you're more than welcome. Okay, so wait. We did not do any new business. Okay, seeing none. Oh, I was under old business, but okay, no business. Can I have a motion to adjourn?